Hey guys, Enkidu here. This is my update for my Frostblades Raider. I am now level 88, and I want to show you a bit of the upgrades I had gotten. So I had gotten a 6-link, corrupted chest with the colors that I needed. The links I ended up using were Frostblades, Melee Fizz, Weapon Elemental, Multi-Strike, Increased Crit, and Added Cold. I swap in and out of Added Cold with Cold Pen pretty often. In certain situations and certain bosses, I do like the cold penetration better for general mob and trash clearing, and for probably about half of the map bosses, added cold does just fine, and it's no problem at all. I had gotten Itziri step boots to give me some increased evasion. I gotten a new sword, a little more crit, faster attacks, about 330 fizz DPS instead of the 300. I'm still using the first Scavia, because the increased critical strike chance when in main hand, and then the 3 green sockets equal 30 global crit multis. So this sword essentially reads as 300 PDPS with, an additional 80% crit chance and 30% multi, which would be really, really hard to replace. I'd need to get a foil with like 370 and over 7 crit or something like that in order to improve this. And while I do have a decent amount of exalts now, it's just not something I really want to spend the money on, to be honest. I just don't think it'll be worth it. So we had upgraded our helmet for strength and int, and I don't recall if the belt is new or not, but anyway, we're still wearing the same jewelry. Those can definitely get a lot better. I had ended up gambling on some opal and some steel rings, trying to self-craft. I spent maybe ADC purchasing and rolling those, and I made my money back, or maybe even 10 or 20 chaos, but ended up not rolling for me. We have enough resistance with everything that we are overcapped in LE weakness. Just as a tip in case you're a newer player, if you're cursed with elemental weakness or flammability or conductivity or whatever it happens to be, if in your hideout your res is at 115 or higher for fire, cold, and light, then when you're cursed, when you're running an LE weakness map, or when you're cursed in a map, your resistances won't be lowered below 75. So again, if you just want to consider it this way, the resistance cap really isn't 75, it's 115 if you want to successfully map in the higher tiers, I suppose. Flasks are the exact same. I never really realized just how ludicrously strong a Stibnite is with an evasion build. So let's just consider this, and let's do a little bit of math. Right now, our dodge chance is 46. So consider this. A white mob or a boss or whatever it happens to be runs up and tries to hit me. Let's just consider it one monster. 46 out of 100 times that physical hit is going to miss me. So that leaves us with 54 left. From that 54, it then gets reduced by our block. So let's start doing some math. 54 minus 15%, 45.9. Then we have our evasion, which is at 37%. Minus 37%. So roughly 3 out of 10 attacks are hitting us. And I understand the mechanics of evasion, entropy, and stuff like that, but we're just giving a generalization here. So when I hit my Stibnite, my evasion goes up to 42, so that's another couple percentage off. But here's the deal. Anything in this little smoke cloud has a 50% less chance to hit, which essentially reduces a monster's accuracy rating from roughly 90 to roughly 40, 45. So let's just say 50, because we're just guessing anyway. So you go from something like 6 out of 10 attacks hitting you to something like 8.5 out of 10 missing you. 85% is going to just straight up miss you, and then you have a Mortal Call, and you have your Basalt, and your critting, and your temp changing, and it ends up being just pretty gosh darn effective. Do I still get one shot now and again? Sure. I have died to some silly, silly things in this league. I feel like they shadow buffed monster damage again, but that's just sort of what evasion builds are known for, is dodge, 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 dead, right? So that's just sort of the way it goes, and this character ended up just becoming pretty good for me. So I was able to fill out some points in the tree. We're sitting at 45k tooltip without auras on. So let's activate our Herald and Hatred and our little crit ice golem. And we're at 62 on our 6-link here, which is pretty nice, and just about 5 attacks a second. So what did we change in the tree? First off, we got our Ascendancy, which is increased elemental damage. Since we're converting everything to elemental damage, since I'm being quite a lot, 20% increased move while phasing. This just helps the map clear a lot, allows you to drop silly things like Quicksilver flasks and things like that are just entirely not needed. You don't need to whirl everywhere anymore. You could actually just run, which is nice. Immune to elemental ailments while phasing. That's nice for shock ground, chilly ground, stuff like that, and just some increased spell dodge, always nice. So what did we do? We ended up dropping mana flows. We ended up not needing it. We had gotten these 2 points for Fizz and Crit, because I just wanted more Fizz and Crit. We ended up filling out the Heartseeker wheel. We came down and got Primeval Force and all of the weapon elemental damage nodes. I had gotten a Jewel Socket, Crit Multi. When you're doing jewels for almost any build, consider Crit Multiplier as more valuable than Crit Chance. Even though Crit Chance is in itself quite valuable, just consider Crit Multiplier better. Life, all res. This was maybe 5C or so. And that's just about it. Level 88. I have 109 points. If I was to go a few more levels, I mean, these two would be nice points for crit. Coming over here, getting a bit more life. If I really wanted to go over here, I was calculating it. It's something, if I got this whole wheel, if I came down over here and got this whole wheel, not only is there more WED there, but it's something like 3% life per level, which would be better than a Jewel Socket, but I mean, you know, Jewel Sockets also give you damage and stuff like that. Vitality Void would be nice, Point Blank would be nice for the projectiles. All of those things would be great. I just don't know if I really want to do this character too much further. It's been an awful lot of fun, but so links I changed. We're still CODT, Immortal Call, increased duration. I also threw an Arctic Breath since I took the curses out. Ice Golem, Hatred, Herald of Ice, Valgrace, which was a drop for me, which was nice, increased duration, and Frostbomb. Still running that because it just makes a lot of sense. It ends up being a good amount of pen, so just with Frostbomb and our natural pen, we have 43 plus 5, 48. So 48% pen, 68% pen for everything in here for the entire duration of that Frostbomb, plus a few more seconds. Secondary debuff, 3.26. So a good amount of cold pen, even without the cold pen. With this, we're flirting with 90, maybe even up above 90. So you're basically almost at Inquisitor levels of cold penetration, which is why I switch in and out of this gem, just depending on the boss. And you know, if a big resist cold mob, I might duck away really quick and go and slap it back on. Valgrace is nice. I had ended up doing some, or were they some precinct maps? I didn't know. I had rolled double boss on my first precinct map, and it ended up being 5 exiles, or maybe even like 6 or 7 because it was doubled. It was a lot of exiles altogether. They had gotten me a few times, and how many times did I die now? I've died 37 times. So I bet you I've only died 10 times since, you know, probably level 60, 65 maybe. After I killed Katava, after I went through and killed Dodri in that big vulnerability mess, it wasn't that big of an issue to not die too often. Once I really started understanding the flasks, and I have Fortify and my Whirling Blades and all that stuff, it ended up being pretty easy to not die. Get out of here, Golem. So all in all, the character ended up being pretty good. I decided to get rid of the belly because I was able to sell a 5-link belly for 120 chaos, and I bought this chest for 30 chaos. Ended up getting a decent deal on it, and I just didn't really deem it cost efficient at the time. Of course, now I'm sitting on all these exalts. I mean, a 6-link belly is something like 15 exalts or 14 exalts right now, so it's a little silly. All of that for, you know, maybe 51 or 5200 life. I don't care. Maybe it would have saved 3 of those 37 deaths, but I don't really care that much. Beyond that, the character has been pretty good, and I'm going to show you now a bit of a map that I could put together, and then some highlights of me doing some stuff like at Ziri and just how good cold penetration and all that crit can be together. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is a increased crit multi, monster life, increased AoE, can't be stunned, extra damage is called beyond, monsters received reduced damage. So let's just pop this in and take a look. We'll see what the level of the monsters are. And we got the Mammoth cultists in here, 76, not too bad. I'll activate our golem now. And just sort of see how this looks. Sometimes it takes a bit to get your charges and everything up. You can see even the hexproof monsters we end up usually freezing. And there's an evasion shrine there. Let's get these beyond guys. Or excuse me, the whatever these little portals are called, I can't really remember. You basically just hold down right click and you can get around pretty decently. You crit shatter a lot. Throw down your frostbomb, throw down your totem, turn off Z. Ends up being decently effective. When you're going to stand still, go ahead and just pop your totem, pop your flasks, all that's fine. Ooh, a wood splitter. It's amazing. I had gotten the Identify 100 Uniques challenge, I don't know, maybe a few days ago. And, yeah, probably 99% of them were garbage, like not even sellable. I mean, you have your 5-for-1 prophecy or what have you, but other than that, there's no real point to it. I'll wait till I have all my charges up again, then I'll show you my tooltip. And I don't really play for the land speed records very typically, just sort of play for fun. So even with that, this is still a pretty fast, pretty good character overall. I keep thinking about, you know, maybe re-rolling and rolling as a crit cold spellcaster or something like that, and I'm like, I just can't imagine any crit cold spellcaster is going to be better than what this is currently. So I don't know if I see a point currently. And we'll just see if we can go find the boss, clear out some garbage while we're here. You see some guys don't even get attacks off. They're temp chains and they're frozen, and all of this is good stuff. Sometimes the multi-strike works against you because you're not attacking in one direction anymore, you're attacking all around. So just consider your positioning when you're going to stand and just attack for a few seconds. I wonder if that'd be worth anything. Alright, so full charges with our totem down 127, which is quite a tooltip. Rolling Blades gets quite quick at that amount of frenzies too. There they are. Always wait a bit for the Devourers to catch up with you, because they used to just spawn in packs of 30. Like you'd get like a Hasted or something like that map, and Devourers would just come up under you so quick. There almost wasn't a well, I'm like glitched on that tree there. There almost wasn't a reaction time that was possible for some of those monsters, and they just might crit you 4 or 5, 6 of them in a row, even before you get a potion out. It didn't even matter. So I'm happy that they made them spawn in 2s now, but you know, now you just gotta wait for them. I suppose it's just a little different. But for just the regular ones, they're not that bad. Somewhere is this boss. Let's see if we can find him. Can't even pick up a Chaos Orb. Do a decent job of freezing and chilling. Even the Beyond guys. It's not like the Beyond guys have too much elemental resistance, but a good amount. Waiting for that first crit sometimes takes a moment. And let's show you this boss. So, Frost Bomb, boom, 3, 4, 5. And even without Cold Pen, and he threw in a Feeble on me. You just keep your potions up, and there you go. Ends up being a pretty decent build. This was maybe a 30C sword. These were 2 chaos. That was a bit. This was a bit. But I mean, getting a 6-link and getting 2 scabious is an important step as you get up into the 80s. You know, you'll just have chaos laying around if you're trading and doing a bunch of stuff like that. So a few of the things that I do to trade are I just operate 1C stash tabs pretty regularly. Decent rule of thumb is if you throw something in here and you make it public for 1C and you get a message within 2 minutes, chances are you underpriced it. So if that's the case, go to POE trade and make sure you look at the prices and stuff like that, because even I've accidentally sold some things. I had corrupted a fragility jewel or something like that. I mean, who knew a -1 endurance charge jewel would be more than 2 chaos, right? I operate a 2C. These are decent selling price ones. You know, I'm hoping for 60 on that. That was a self-craft. I mean, I've already brought it down from 80 to 70, and every day or two I'll go down, knock another 10 chaos off, and if it ends up going for 40 or so, I might break even. That I priced for 8 just because that's how much it was on trade. And these I tried a bunch of ring crafting on my own. So yesterday it was 7, or yesterday it was 8, today it'll be 7. We'll see if any of that stuff sells. And you'll just end up making a bunch of C. Another quick tip is right now in the league, it's, I don't know, I think this is the middle of week 3 or something like that of the league, or just about week 2.5 or something like that. If you change a bunch of your C into Exalted and then just sit on them for a month and use this as your slush fund and just hold off on any big purchases, you'll be able to change these Exalted back into Chaos at 80 to 1, 100 to 1, 150 to 1, something like that in about a month. So just as a tip, if you get an Exalted and you can and you want to and it wouldn't ruin your fun with the game, go ahead and hold on to it. Without the totem, just the auras at 62. Totem inflates your DPS a good amount, just that 0.3 attack speed, as you see, is quite a bit. So I'll probably keep playing it. I ended up doing Uber Lab myself, and you know, that's not that bad. So I'll include some clips here at the end of some Adziri runs that I had done. Deathless up until Adziri herself, where I get hit by spears or invisible shit and stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoy. I may put out another update, depends on how much further I take this character, but all in all, it's still pretty budget. I mean, you know, now you started to get the good gear, but that's what you're supposed to do at 3 days into a character. A number of this time I just spent just sitting here in my stash tab like this, just waiting for a trade. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
slow me down.